We have been waiting days, months, even years for this day to finally come. The day that Shokuho finally releases to the public. If you somehow don't know what I'm talking about, Shokuho is Bannerlord's most anticipated total conversion mod to date, based in the 16th century in Japan. This mod is everything this community has been wanting and waiting for, with built-in diplomacy, new animations, new crazy-looking armors and weapons, all wrapped into one mod. You could even say that this mod might be the reason Bannerlord has gained 10,000 players within 3 days of its release. But I'm saying this all to you for a reason, and that is because today we're going to do a complete overview and deep dive look at the long-awaited total conversion mod. We're going to be talking about everything, including the good and also what needs more work. And at the end, I'll be going over and answering some questions that I'm sure some of you all will have. Starting at the very beginning, it opens to the map of Japan where you can choose between 9 different cultures. Afterwards, you'll notice they have a new and custom character creation menu. At first glance, it might seem limited, and that's probably because they are working within the boundaries of the vanilla creation system still, and it wasn't made to typically create anyone outside of medieval Europe, so it makes sense that there's only so much you can create. Once you've created your hero, you're dropped into this beautiful ancient Japan landscape, but in a period of time that's not so beautiful. It's set after the disastrous Onin War, where civil wars among the factions have broken out to gain power and control over the nation. You will find many scripted events that emulate real historical events that you can either choose to participate or just ignore. The first thing you probably notice is how absolutely beautiful this map is. With its long mountain ranges, rolling hills, and winding rivers, it makes traversing the map very satisfying and enjoyable. The map is actually larger than Calradia, but with how the map was built and laid out, it makes traversing it a lot easier. For example, there are built-in roads that span from city to city that actually grant you a huge movement bonus to your party. Why did we not have this already in the base game is beyond me. You can also traverse a map by a ferry or with your own ships that you can find through the new port locations. With a ferry, you will have to pay a relatively small fee and you'll only have certain locations that you can choose from to travel to. Whereas buying ships is very expensive and costly to maintain as they do have a daily upkeep, but the upside is that you can choose to sail anywhere that you would like. You've also probably noticed that we have gotten a completely new custom UI with brand new Japanese style icons everywhere, as well as new skill icons in the character menu. The UI is beautiful and really helps to immerse you into ancient Japan. And compared to Calradia's just 8 factions, you'll find dozens of new factions here, all with their own unique and custom troop trees and bonuses for you to explore, making the country feel rich in diversity. Most of the troop trees you'll find for the factions start at level 1 and only go up to tier 3 or 4. You'll find out very quickly that the better troops start at 3 and 4 and go up to tier 5 and 6. The reason for this separation in troop trees is because they are separated by a social structure, which in turn makes armies a lot more diverse and unique. And it's also good to note though that there are only 8 tier 6 troops in the entire mod, so don't think that every troop, even if they look great, is going to be good. But you can find higher tier troops in new shrine and temple locations spread throughout the map. You can donate gold to these temples and shrines to gain access to tier 5, but mostly tier 6 troops. Each temple and shrine is its own entity though, as none of them are connected, so you will have to level each one up individually. You can even buy books here to level up certain skills, something we've only been asking to be added to the base game since Warband. The troops and armors themselves are some of the most beautiful and unique ones that I have seen yet. I think we can all agree that the troops and armors is what separates Shokuho from any other total conversion mod for Bannerlord. There are so many different buildable armies to explore and experiment with this mod. Not only that, but you'll also find brand new weapons for you and your troops to use, as polearms and two-handed katanas and tachis are the norm here. You'll even find gunpowder troops and weapons, and these weapons will go through just about anything. And you'll quickly realize that there are no shields in this mod besides the ones that you wear on your back, which they honestly aren't that useful. This means there is no safe place for you and your troops on the battlefield when you're faced against a group of archers and especially gunpowder units. With all these weapons being so deadly, it only takes a few blows for you or your enemies to be taken down, even with heavy armor equipped. I can't tell you how many times I've died when I thought I was perfectly fine until I wasn't. With these combat changes, it can definitely take some time to getting used to, but I found myself actually enjoying it a lot more ironically, as you have to make smarter decisions during battles and sieges than you normally would in vanilla Bannerlord. But let's move on before I sit here and talk more about how amazing all the troops and weapons are. Tournaments also got an overhaul as well. The arenas have all been custom made where you'll either be inside or outside fighting. Most of the time you will be fighting with a two-handed sword, but there are a few rounds I experience with bows and polearms every now and again. In the tournaments, you'll only find 1v1, 2v2s, and free-for-all matches within the tournament, and most of the prizes are always fairly valuable. Hideouts have also been changed as well. They all still work in the same way by you bringing in a handful of troops to fight alongside you, but the new hideouts have brand new and custom maps for you to explore. The first handful of times I experienced these, I was in shock how much level of detail that they had put into these scenes. I really enjoy doing hideout missions now, as they are a breath of fresh air from the old repetitive vanilla ones. In Shokuho, you'll also find some new features that you won't find anywhere else. For instance, when roaming around in villages, you will find it can even talk to children and teenagers with brand new dialogue options. A handful of new quests have also been added to the cities and villages, ranging from helping the locals get rid of Christian preachers to helping the local merchants get rid of new competition outside the city. One of my favorite additions is when traversing the map, you will find these new pop-up events called Battlefield Remains, where you can enter with a handful of units just like you do in hideout raids. But this time, instead of clearing out a hideout, you have to fight off a number of waves of troops, and if you succeed, you and your troops can loot these piles on the ground for some extra loot. Another unique event that you can encounter and find while traversing the map, similar to the one before, is called Dual Location. But this time, instead of fighting off waves of enemies, you will find and duel a combat master. If you can defeat him, you'll be rewarded with a handsome amount of gold and some random loot. Moving on to the actual battles themselves, I recommend not even thinking about using any type formations, as your troops will be picked off easily since there are no shields. And for the actual battlefields themselves, there are no vanilla battlefields in the entire mod. All of the battlefields are custom made, and each one is just as beautiful as the next. Everything from the dense rice and wheat fields to the colorful forests, these battlefields truly make you feel like you're fighting in Japan. Sieges in this mod are also very different due to the unique style of castles and landscapes. The walls on one hand are easier to get through and penetrate compared to the vanilla, but with how the castle walls and landscapes are laid out, usually leaves all your troops exposed to the defending archers on the upper walls the entire time. This is due to the windy exposed paths leading up to the gate that your troops have to take that leaves them vulnerable. Most of these castles have multiple layers of walls for you to traverse through, rather than just having one main wall that you destroy and you're in, just like in vanilla. There's not a great way to mitigate this except for bringing extra footmen to make up for how many you will lose, and also bring plenty of archers or gunmen to try and combat the enemy archers. Now, I do want to say that there are two things that I wasn't able to experience enough to comment on them in this video, and that was trading and naval battles. While there are over a dozen of new food and trading goods, how efficient trading is as a whole to make money I am not sure of, and after building a fleet and roaming around the map for a while, I was unfortunately not able to experience any naval battles yet for myself. But I do want to go over that this mod team has also decided to include various mods into Shokuho itself, so you don't have to bother installing them separately. First is diplomacy, and we all know that Bannerlord's diplomacy is non-existent, so it's nice to see everything that you would normally find in the diplomacy mod is here. Next is a cut through everyone feature from the Zorbiax Legacy, and being able to slice through 2 to even 4 or 5 enemies at the same time is so satisfying. And messengers have also been added so that you can now send one to any person that you've met before and talk to them without having to actually travel to them. And we can't forget about all of the custom cities, castles, and villages. The amount of detail that was put into each of these scenes is unreal. Walking around all of the locations feels so different than anything else I have ever played when it comes to total conversion mods. To a certain degree, it doesn't even feel like Bannerlord anymore, as there are hardly any assets from vanilla left in this mod. Just on a surface level, it feels like this mod team has thought of everything. They have been able to bring together features that the community has been asking for while maintaining historical accuracy and while still creating a very well thought out and balanced game. Now, with all that said, I wouldn't say it's perfect, and I wouldn't expect it to be after only 2 or 3 weeks of its release, but I have encountered some crashes after accepting quests and some graphical glitches during battles and tournaments. But after I installed the new version, I was able to continue my quests without any crashes, so overall, in my experience, the game has been very stable and enjoyable. And now shifting to answering some questions I'm sure some of you all will have. Can you include other mods with it? Yes, I'll actually be making a video about that later on. How can you download Shokuho? You can install the mod manually through Nexus or ModDB, or just simply subscribe to it on Steam. And is the mod worth downloading and trying out? And to that, I would simply say yes. While it does have some kinks to work out, it's overall a very stable mod and definitely worth checking out the hard work that this mod team has put into it. And also, most of you all that are watching this are not subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoyed this video and would like to keep up with the latest Bannerlord content, please consider hitting that like bell and subscribe button. And if you made it to the end, you'll probably enjoy this video right here where we go over the best Bannerlord mods that have come out this year in 2025. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.